Greetings, blessings, shalom. It's Karen Lee with the Love Walk Global. I have a now word that has just been echoing in my spirit. There's a lot that I need to share with you, but the first thing that the Lord has just really weighing on my spirit to share, I keep hearing, pick up your mat and walk. What the Lord began to show me is that right now in this hour, we have so many Christians that have been paralyzed with fear, whether it be fear of failure, fear of what are they going to think, the approval of man, that God has rooted and planted and seeded destiny, purpose, and assignment in each and every one. And many of you, He's revealed glimpses of what it is that He's called you to do, but it feels too impossible. The vision feels too great. And I want to share with you that anything that isn't completely and utterly beyond you, you need to check in with Holy Spirit and find out if it's even God. Because God-sized dreams and visions are so far beyond our ability and capacity, because He desires to stretch us and grow us and raise us up into the purpose that He called us to. And if it's something that we could do on our own, then we would not need to utterly and totally depend on Him. When we understand that this God-sized dream and vision that He's planted in us is completely and utterly impossible for us to accomplish on our own apart from Him, then we come into that place of humility before Him. And we understand that we must fully rely on Him for what it is that He's called us to do. Because God's plan and purpose is so much bigger. It's so much more vast than what we could ask or think or imagine. It's so much greater than what we could ever accomplish on our own. And God desires that we stay in this place of yielded surrender, utter dependency on Him, that we know that apart from Him that we can do nothing, but we also know with that same revelation that in Him, with Him, and through Him, that we can and we shall accomplish all that He has called us to do, all that He has purposed us to do. So here is where we find the gap between the vision and the dream that God has planted inside of His people and whether or not they're walking in that purpose, whether or not they're willing to say yes and step up and out in that purpose. Now we understand that faith is the currency of heaven, and without faith, it is impossible to please God. And we also understand that expectancy is a playground for miracles. Expectancy is an atmosphere for the presence of God and for divine miracles. So when you couple your faith with your expectancy, partnering with what God has shown you, the piece that is often missing where people are stuck in stagnation and they are distracted from destiny purpose, is the action coupled with the faith. When Jesus spoke to the paralytic, He said, "Take up your mat and walk." In the natural, that was utterly impossible. There was no way, apart from Jesus, that man would have been able. But Jesus called him to an action of faith. So right now, as the Holy Spirit ministers to you, what call to action has been echoing in your spirit that you have not yet been obedient. Take the first step. There are times that He will call you to an edge of a precipice and you cannot see what is beyond that ledge. But the Father's hand is extended and He says, do you trust me? Do you trust me? Will you step out in faith and believe with me for what you cannot yet see, so that when you step off that precipice, you can soar as an eagle? You can soar. You cannot soar playing it safe on the ground. You cannot soar playing it safe on the ground. In order to soar, it requires an elevation and an acceleration. Let your faith rise up. He has called you out into the deep, beyond the shallow, beyond the waves that break, beyond waist deep, way out over your head, where in every direction you cannot see the horizon. You cannot see the land. It is way over your head. And you understand out in this place in the deep that you cannot touch. There is nothing else to hold on to. And that you cannot sustain you. That you must fully rely on Him for what you cannot see, for what you do not understand, but you know deep in your spirit. So out in that place in the deep, He's calling His children to come and meet Him out in that place in the deep. Come beyond the shallow. Come beyond that season of those waves that are breaking over you again and again, that you swim out and the waves crash over you and they drag you back to the shallow. Press in and push through to come out into the deep and meet with Him. It requires an action of faith. It requires an action of faith. Ask Holy Spirit, what is the action of faith that you have not yet taken, that has been part of the delay for the purpose and plan, for the assignment and the call? And He will reveal it to you. We love you so much. God bless each and every one of you. We'll talk soon. Shalom.